Hi Luxury Home Show, I'm Laura, a designer and founder of Grove England. Welcome to my home in the Cotswolds. Come on in. We were so pleased we found somewhere. We had the opportunity to create this amazing room where we could have the kitchen and a dining area and then a lovely family space. This is one of the calmest spaces in the house. I designed it to be super natural, super calm. And actually it's where for the last 2 years, I've been working on my new brand, Grove England, which is inspired by the gardens here at Grove Farm. So this is the original front door and hallway of the farmhouse that was built in the late 1700s. Most of the house was then added on in the Victorian times, so I'll show you that. But in this part, we really worked hard to keep all the original features. You can see these lovely beams, the staircase, which we stripped back. There's so much character, which we loved. And actually, we felt very lucky to find the house. We thought it would take us quite a few years because the market in the Cotswolds was crazy. We were in the most beautiful cottage, but just bursting at the seams. And then in 2021, we just happened upon this. It had been for sale and then the price had been too high. And anyway, it came back on the market and we happened to drive past and the rest is history, but it's such a special home. It's been in the same family before we bought it for over 50 years and it was just a very much loved house. So we felt very lucky to be the next caretakers. And we've worked really hard to renovate, but keep all the original features and details and then make additions where we felt necessary. The main addition we've made to the house is this new extension, which we replaced some workshops that were here before. The house had always been a working farm. There was nowhere that you could bring in the garden. There wasn't, we didn't have sort of terracing and lovely French doors. It was just very much focused on its role as a farm. So we added this space and I knew when we were designing it, my husband Patrick and I, we wanted something that felt very authentic. We didn't want it to feel too new. We wanted a lot of light and we wanted to see the garden, and that really has worked brilliantly. The arched windows really give it that orangery feel. It's only been a year since it's been finished and it already feels like it's been part of the house forever. So yeah, we love the space and it's a very big family space. We've zoned it deliberately so it doesn't feel overwhelming. Let me take you over to the kitchen and we can start there. We were so pleased we found somewhere. We had the opportunity to create this amazing room where we could have the kitchen and a dining area and then a lovely family space. We used to have a house in Dorset which had a space even larger than this, which was a former stables. And when we left there, we really never thought we'd have the opportunity again to create something quite as amazing. So that was such a win when we found this property. And one of the things I've always loved doing with my kitchens, especially when they're in an open plan space like this, is I try and design it so it's almost like a piece of artwork. It doesn't look hugely functional. A lot of the function is hidden away. This one, I particularly wanted to create these very tall cabinets to sort of mirror the height of the ceilings. And always we have an open run at the back to really let the marble do the talking, because it is really a work of art. And we use quite a lot of marble, always I have done in all of my designs. This particular slab was a challenge to find. In fact, all of our islands, we've had a real challenge to find large enough pieces because I don't really want to have a join in the middle. So this one, we flew to Italy and we sourced all of the stone in the house actually on one trip, which was amazing. And I'll show you some of the other amazing pieces as we move around. But this island is really the hub. We love to cook on the island so that we can chat to friends and family. We always design as well as this being a really beautiful feature. It's very functional. We've always put in this amazing rack for drying, washing up here, which means I've literally not used a tea towel to dry anything up in decades. It just sits up there nicely drying, and the glasses particularly, they become very clean and they don't have marks. It's lovely. So that is the sort of functional element. And again, we've hidden down here the cooker. And so basically you can look down the room from one end and it could be that you're just looking at lovely joinery, really. We've tried to make it, not feel like a sort of very kitchen-y space. Some of the details that we've put in here, we've got this amazing drawer fridge, which is so useful. It's just for day to day, the kind of milk. and dog food and all the kind of things you're using all the time. And then we've hidden a lot of the other functional elements, the fridge, a second cooker, etc., in the butler's pantry round the back, which is something we've designed in a lot of our houses recently. Somewhere you can almost, like when you're hosting, you can hide everything and then just bring around the pretty things that you want to see. And yeah, we love this kitchen. It's functional and beautiful, which is kind of my goal always. As I mentioned in the hallway, it was really important to us when adding anything new to the house that we really were very sensitive to the history. And I love nature. Everything about my work in design has always been linked to nature. So I really wanted this room to feel quite earthy and natural. So with the natural stone, the lovely wooden floor, we've got this amazing colour, which is Leather 5 by Paint and Paper Library, which it felt quite earthy to me. It's a very unusual colour to use for a kitchen. I haven't seen this before, but I'm utterly obsessed, and I've had lots of questions about it, so I think others love it too. But it just has a real sort of natural Cotswoldy colour to it. And then these lovely, we always work with Armac Martin for all of our hardware, and they have such lovely colour finishes. And this again, it sort of patinas over time. It already looks like it's been here for a long time. So those details are really important to me whenever I design. Similarly with the taps, everything is aged brass, so it will just, the more wear and tear, the better really. And in fact, functionally, this is brilliant. This is a little hot water tap with Perrin and Rowe, and it's just amazing. And then I still could have this, which is really attractive, because some of the other hot water taps, I just found them, they weren't they looked too modern. So this is a lovely way to have a lovely original style tap and then a little hot water one that matches. So this is probably one of our favourite spaces in the house. My husband Patrick is incredibly practical. In the last few houses we've designed, we've always included a pantry or butler's pantry, whatever you want to call it, second kitchen, because it means you can hide away a lot of function and basically have a really well used space. We live in here. I'm just looking around now. The detail, like we wanted this to feel as luxury as the kitchen, but slightly more of a workspace. So we chose to do the units in a lovely natural wood. We chose a different stone. Both the stone on the floor and the stone on the surfaces is the same. It's called Grandavario. It's an Italian stone. And we've just had them slightly different, the finishes. The floor you can see has been tumbled and has a real texture to it. And then this one has been smoothed and honed. And so I just love the colours. I love the detail. I'm quite obsessed with nature, as you will discover more and more throughout. And in here, we basically have a pantry cupboard here. And then we have a run here, which has wine storage for cooking utensils and like bigger items, like blenders. Patrick's pride and joy, his amazing coffee machine. And then we've got a double fridge freezer. And at the end here, Patrick has always designed what we call our condiments cupboard, where it's a cupboard specifically designed with really narrow shelving so we can keep all of our jams and chutneys and sauces. He's a real chef and loves to cook, so there's all sorts in there. And then in this side, we decided to have a second oven, and actually we use this oven all the time. I don't know quite why, but we almost use it more than the main one. And then we've got another dishwasher and a wine fridge, and it functions so well. We bring in lots of the vegetables we grow in the garden, wash them in this beautiful sink, which is just so tactile and lovely. And and we store quite a lot of them here too. Today, there's not that much here. We've got a few bits. These garlics, which we grow in the summer. There's some onions and potatoes, and these crazy squashes, which I don't remember planting them. If anyone knows what type they are, and particularly this one, which is very strange. Anyway, but yeah, we love growing. We grow a lot of our food in the garden. And yeah, this is one of my favorite spaces. Before we leave the kitchen area, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this. We've in the past had islands where we've managed to seat 4 people for dinner. And when we were designing this space, it was quite a challenge because of the depth and making sure it all worked well in the room. But I love the fact that we can sit 4 grown-ups up here for an evening meal. I dress it like I would the table, and it's just very intimate and relaxed. So I love that. And these cane-backed lovely chairs by Thonnet was something that I've had a lot of their stuff from vintage before, but this was the new, and I was just so pleased to find them to match so perfectly. And again, having nature, kind of just touching nature, makes me happy. So they are brilliant. And then moving across here, when we were designing the space, the architect's plans were to have the dining area here in the middle, which makes logical sense because you're closer to the kitchen. But me being me, I have to have a banquette. If any of you have ever seen any of my designs previously, I always design a dining banquette. So we'll head over there in a minute. But this is the seating area. And again, I wanted it to feel like the hub of the space. I didn't want guests or family sitting at the end of the room, detached from the kitchen. So it works really well. We all kind of can sit and mingle here, chat while people are cooking. And I deliberately chose these amazing pieces for their height. They're very low, they're not intrusive in the space, but incredibly comfy when you sit on them. And these are the Camaleondas by Marco Bellini for B&B Italia, which I've just always loved, and we've had these a very long time. And then the Gooby Pashas, they are just a classic, becoming such a classic design now. And I had these covered quite a few years ago now in a beautiful Pierre Frey, very, very soft and textured fabric. And people always ask me about mess. And to be honest, I am a really quite relaxed person, and it works. And we have one daughter, Lily, and we don't manage to get them filthy, which is great. But I love a light space. So that was always how it was going to be. And then moving down into this area, I knew that we wanted to have a nook. I love adding a banquette. I think they're a great use of space. I think they add a lot of colour and texture to a kitchen. And I love this for sitting to work at. I also love it when we're dining in the evening with friends. And the view back from here, I always like to think when designing of the different views, you've got the view to the garden, which is amazing through the glazed link, and you can see the seasons change, and it's just heaven. When it was torrential rain a few weeks ago, I was sitting there and it was just pouring down the glazing, and it just felt so atmospheric. And then on a gorgeous day like today, you can just see right up to the top of the garden. Often chickens will pot it into shot. I can see my dahlias. It's all amazing. And yeah, when you're sitting here in the evening, it's so lovely to sort of have the view back across the room to the kitchen. We're very focused on lighting, so we've got lots and lots of options, and all dimmable. That's kind of non-negotiable for me, to be able to dim all the lights. So in the evening, it's just gorgeous, the fire lit, and it just feels like a very cozy space. Even though it's large, I think we have managed to really get that right. The lighting, the zoning, it's just a lovely, lovely space to spend time. Finally, before we leave this space, I just want to talk to you first about the doors and the windows. One of the key features of this space was the lovely arched windows and doors. And really, unfortunately, we'd paid a big deposit with a supplier that we had worked with many times before. And anyway, he went into liquidation with our money and we couldn't get it back. So we were so stressed. And one day I happened to get an email out of the blue from a lovely British family-run firm who said, I don't suppose you're working on anything. Can we help with windows and doors? And honestly, I felt like it was so serendipitous. And they were amazing. They're called Brookswood, and they are a lovely family-run firm from not too far from here. And they've done the most amazing job. I think the silver lining is that the original windows would not have turned out anything like these. The attention to detail is amazing. We were incredibly fussy about sizes, widths of every different element, and they worked with us to produce something really, really amazing. And that also feels, I think, kind of old. It doesn't have a newness to it. So yeah, that was amazing. There's always, I think, a silver lining to these sad, annoying things that happen. And the other thing is art. This space is really bright because of the light, but also because of the art that we've brought in and chosen. Even in the middle of winter, it feels quite sunny and summery in here. This amazing piece that we've got here is by an artist called Louise Howard. It's a real showstopper, and the colours in it just mean that, yeah, even on a gloomy winter's day, it feels bright. And then it ties beautifully with this, which is Patrick's mother painted that painting, and you'll see a lot of blues and colourful colours in here, which is what I love to do to bring a bit of sunshine kind of for all year round. One of the main reasons for designing the new extension was to really start to bring the garden and the outside into the house. And we did this by adding a lot of doors and windows and glazing. We've got the glazed link at the end, which is a really modern addition. It just naturally says to you, this is new. But then the rest of the building, we worked closely with a really skilled stonemason, and we sourced all of the stone from Cotswold natural stone and colour matched it to the original house. There was a lot of work that went into creating something that does feel like it has been with the house for a long time. And this garden is the more formal garden. We've got kind of a slightly more wild veg patch, orchardy section behind the house, which I'll take you to later. But this one was, when we inherited the house, it already had beautiful planting. The rose arch was there, these lovely urns. So we've just sort of added really some extra bits, but really kept a lot of what was here originally. This lovely fig in the corner was originally here, and it's so prolific this year. We've just been eating so many figs. We've been making fig jam, fig chutney, and we also have some lovely plum trees out the front of the house, which have produced so many plums. So we've been very busy. And one of the things we love about having this old farm is there is a lot of produce, and we really use it. And once you've kind of made it into a jam, it kind of lasts all year, and we use it as gifts for friends and stuff. So it's really lovely to have that. And then this area we come and sit at either for lunch with friends or drinks in the evening. It's so relaxing, and I just love being surrounded by these beautiful plants. It's been really stunning actually. All the way from May onwards, we've had interest in this border. So yeah, I feel really lucky that we've had a year to experience it now, that having worked so hard basically to plant it all up a year or so ago. Now we're back inside the house. I'll quickly introduce you to Lola, who is our little Maltese terrier. She's very sweet. She behaves more like a cat than a dog. She's very quiet and just does a lot of snoozing. But before we go into the main part of the house, I just want to show you the original farmhouse elements. And we're going to start with the laundry room. So this is our laundry room, and it was originally the dairy, so where the cows would have come in to be milked. And we wanted to keep the original door, which really is very different to the rest of the style of the space, but we loved it, and I'm all about history. So we've got the original door, which we painted in the same colour as the doors in there, which is Stone 3 by Paint and Paper Library. I get asked a lot about that. And it's a rather large space. We toyed with whether we'd blend it as a playroom or just keep it as one lovely clean space. So we reached a compromise, and we built these cupboards for Lily to keep all of her crafting, her art. She's very creative. She loves drawing and painting, but also making slime, which who knew is the craze of the little ones now. And obviously with our cream furniture in there, we tend to just get out mats on the floor in here, and she can go for it and make as much slime as she likes, and it's all very wipeable. And then we have got our kind of laundry run along here, where we've got the washer and the dryer, and then plenty of space. It's normally full of bed linen, clothes, hanging to dry. We iron in here. It's all folded and stacked up. So I've tidied up for you guys. People often ask why we have marble in the laundry room. And I guess I don't really know the answer to that, other than I just love marble, and I wanted this space to feel like it really connects with the rest of the house. And also I quite want to have fun when I'm doing laundry and stuff. So this room feels very joyful. The wallpaper, everything about it, is a lovely joy-filled room. So this is also part of the original farmhouse, and when we moved in 2022, this was our kitchen. Whilst we were working on the extension, we lived in the sort of Victorian side of the house, and this room was the kitchen. We loved it. It was quite rustic. It had no heating because the Aga wasn't working, so we had to remove that. But anyway, we had a lot of happy times in this kitchen. And when it came, it was the last room when we'd finished the new kitchen that we came to change, and everyone was like, what are you going to do with it? What will it be? And I had this vision of it being a sort of elegant hallway style space where we could have our drinks cabinet, have some joinery for books and bits and bobs. We've got coat cupboards in the corner. And I also wanted it to be quite a wow space. And I'd fallen in love with this wallpaper by Kit Kemp probably quite a few years ago now. And just as we were finishing this room, they released it in a linen. So I just fell in love and had to have it. The texture, as you know, I love nature, I love textures, and it just wraps the space beautifully. and tones so beautifully with the green, which I picked up from the front doors of the house. And I like to repeat colours. You'll see this green again in the sitting room. And there's some vintage pieces in here that we've had for many years. This conversation piece we've had since Dorset. We had to have it reupholstered because it had been quite damaged in storage. This is a beautiful mohair velvet by Pierre Frey, which I just love mohair velvet. And then the drinks cabinet, which we had had for many years, probably more than 10 years now. We found this originally in a sale that Talisman were having. I don't know if any of you remember Talisman on the King's Road. And it was hidden away behind a door. And we got it for a steal. It does still need a little bit of TLC, but we've loved it and used it so much. It's just a wonderful piece. So yeah, this space really is a sort of hallway with coat storage, and then we also have a downstairs loo in here. So we built this as a new space. There wasn't a downstairs loo in the house when we first moved in. And I have been in love with this wallpaper for many years. It's by Maison C in New York. And it was one of the first things I bought when we were renovating, and thankfully, because obviously at the end of the project, the budget's gone and I would not have been able to stretch to the lovely wallpaper. So this was sitting in my office wrapped in its roll for about 2 years, I think. But yeah, I love it. And it goes so well with this photography by Terry O'Neill, which is Faye Dunaway after the Oscars. It's a really famous shoot he did at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And this is one of the outtakes from it, but it's very, very similar to the very famous one of her sitting in the same setup. And I just love this room. It feels very glamorous, very decadent. Again, I brought in textures and sort of natural hints with the mirror. And yeah, it is what it is, a lovely little cloakroom. So now in this hallway, we're moving into the Victorian part of the house, which was added on. And we've got 2 front doors, bringing in a lot of light, which is lovely. And then I love the staircase. It was such a lovely feature when we bought the house, and I wanted to just really enhance it. So I chose a very glossy version of, this is Leather 3 by Paint and Paper Library. And it just gave it a slightly modern touch. But yes, overall, I just love the style of the Victorian elements in the house. The windows are really big and it just gives a lot of light. Off this hallway, we've got the sitting room and obviously the stairs that will take us upstairs in a moment. But first, I want to take you into my office, which is here. This is one of the calmest spaces in the house. I designed it to be super natural, super calm. And actually it's where for the last 2 years, I've been working on my new brand, Grove England, which is inspired by the gardens here at Grove Farm. And I wanted to create a natural fine fragrance company where we work mostly with natural ingredients and inspired by the seasons and nature. And this is our first collection in Emily, which launched last November, so nearly a year ago, I can't believe it. And it's wonderful. It's like a fine fragrance. So the difference being we have base, middle and top notes, but we're working mostly with natural ingredients, which hasn't really been done before. And I'm very proud of it. It's made in Somerset. And as you will see later, the garden outside is very much the inspiration. And we're in the anemone season now. I'll show you my beautiful bed of anemones. But the fragrance is lovely. And then we have a bath oil, candle, the eau de parfum, body washes. It's kind of a full bath and body selection. And this is where it all began, really. I spend a lot of time in here. I'm on Zoom calls often, and I have a lot of amazing people that work with me on Grove England, and it all kind of happens either in here in person or more and more these days online. And people always comment on my laptop cover, which is very similar to a lot of the furnishings in the house. I'm a creature of habit. I think Patrick found it for me on Etsy, but it's like a sort of boucle cover. I love it. I really love it. And it gets a lot of comments on the train. And the decor in the space, because I work best when I'm calm creatively, I wanted it to have just a serenity, and it really does. The colour is Leather 2 by Paint and Paper Library, and if you've been listening, you'll notice that I do actually reuse colours a lot in my designs. I think it really helps with the flow of a space. So in this house, we have a lot of this lovely leathery, it's almost like a very taupe, kind of very natural pinkiness to it. And then also a lot of this green, which you'll see in the sitting room, and you saw us in the garden room before. This wallpaper is amazing. Again, it's a silk texture. I love textures. And I added the gloss paint to kind of give a real sheen. And I have such a beautiful view out the window of the garden and the plum trees. It's just a really lovely space. We've got the sheepskin vintage chairs from Denmark with the table as well in a travertine. So a lot of natural materials. The carpet in here and throughout the house is all Crucial Trading. I've worked with them for years because I think they have such an elevated quality of the natural wools, the natural sisals. This is a particular favourite. It's a blend of wool with sisal. I think they call it sisal, but it's absolutely beautiful. The texture, the feel of it underfoot, and it looks stunning as well. And then this is my mood board. This is when we're being creative and thinking about the next fragrances, which I've actually hidden from here, but very excitingly, we have 2 coming for next year, and I didn't want to reveal them just yet. One in spring, one in autumn. But this is our anemone, mostly anemone inspiration here. But yeah, lots of storage, lots of junk in here hidden away, which is another thing. I think it's so important when designing a house to make sure you have enough cupboard space so that you can hide things away and only have the things that look pretty out on show in an ideal world anyway. So this is the family sitting room, and we spend a lot of time in here. When we were renovating, actually, this was the room we lived in basically for 2 years. It wasn't quite so smart then. It was rather cluttered. But anyway, it's a lovely space, and we tend to come here in the evenings to watch TV, to light the fire. And I designed it to be, again, very calm, very cocooning. The colour on the walls is Willow 3 by Paint and Paper Library. And we decided to do the ceiling in the same colour, which actually was my daughter Lily's idea, which was a brilliant idea, which makes it feel even cozier. And the artwork is very much, I love Slim Aarons. We've collected his work for a long time, and this is 3 of his pieces. This is a beach in the Bahamas that we go to every few years. We love it there. So it brings in again a bit of summer and sunshine into the winters. And yeah, it's kind of got hints of bamboo. I do love a lot of, nature and texture. So that's the sort of the idea behind the bamboo on the wood there. And again, it works with the fabric on the curtains by Paolo Machino, which has the bamboo lattice on there. In the corner, we have a palm lamp that's a vintage 80s piece that's made again with bamboo. So that's a bit of a theme in here. I wanted to keep it all, hinting back to nature. And the amazing sideboard that we designed and had built bespoke with a burr finish, it's hiding all of the practical bits linked to television, games. And that was inspired. I've loved burr. It's now actually quite trendy, but it really wasn't at the time I did this. It was inspired for me by our drinks cabinet that you saw before, which when I saw that, I just fell in love with the finish, which was very unusual. I hadn't seen much of it before. As I say, now it's kind of everywhere, and you'll see more of it upstairs. But yeah, this is a really clever piece, and it works beautifully and looks very elegant as well. I hope you don't mind. I've changed into my slippers to go upstairs, which actually is much more authentic to me. I live in my slippers, so I will say goodbye to those for now and come on up. So one of the things I loved about the house and the staircase was the fact that it had these sort of really elegant proportions and a really good half landing. We've got another one at the top of the house, and somewhere that I could furnish and just have as like a little pause, a moment of pause where you can kind of sit halfway up the stairs, or just something pretty to look at as you pass. This lovely chair I sourced from Italy, and the wallpaper is Designers Guild. And those of you who've known me or followed me for a while will have probably seen me use it a lot in the past in projects. It's one of my absolute favourites because it just gives such a subtle pattern. And I was so lucky I used it in this. It's a big, big space, you'll see as we go up to the top. And now they have discontinued it in this colourway. So I feel very grateful they didn't do that beforehand. And then these lovely lights are by Pinch, and you'll see them again hanging as pendants on the way up the stairs. They just add some lovely nature and natural texture again with their linen finish. And so yeah, more Slim Aarons prints here. And we've got this beautiful mirror that we've had for years, which I found in an antiques store in Dorset many years ago. We had it in our kitchen in Dorset, and I painted it here. We had it painted to match the staircase in the high gloss of Paint and Paper Library leather too. It's just lovely. It's such a statement, and it really works in this space and reflects the light beautifully. And then in here is the main bedroom. So whenever I'm designing a main bedroom, I always want to create a sanctuary, somewhere to hide away from the chaos in the house, whether you've got children or just guests. It's lovely to have a space that's always calm. And the colours, the textures, everything that I think about is kind of, with that in mind. So in here, we've got the walls are painted in Elgin by Mylans, which is such a beautiful soft colour. And it ties so well with the Liberty print fabrics, which are one of their vintage prints that they sort of brought back a few years ago. So it's got a lovely kind of Art Deco feel. That ties in really nicely with the dressing table area. I designed this and had it made bespoke, as well as the bed by a company in London. And the bedsides, actually, then Alfred Newell made those for me to match. But I did have to go bespoke because I just couldn't find what I was looking for. I knew I wanted something that had a slightly modern hint to it, but also that lovely history and sense of history. This lamp, which I adore, from Porta Romana, it's actually called the perfume lamp. It's like the shape of a perfume bottle, which I absolutely love. And as I'm sure you're aware with my brand, I am quite perfume obsessed. There's a few of my little favorites out here. But again, this space is somewhere where I just sit to do my hair. It's very calm. It's, most of the function and makeup goes on in the bathroom, which I'll show you afterwards. And over here, again, we always do wall lights for bedsides. I find they keep more space. So you've got space on the bedside for flowers. These are beautiful anemones from the garden. I always try and bring in something depending on the season. And we're obviously in anemone season at the moment. And the bed is an emperor, which we could fit one, so we decided to do that. And I've just kept it all very simple. I don't overclutter with cushions. I just like to have one beautiful linen. Again, all the textures are very natural. The carpet is very soft and is a natural wool from Crucial Trading, and people always comment on that when they come in here. So I think overall, I just wanted to create a space that feels really calm and really luxurious. And yeah, I think it does that. I feel when I come up here at night, I always feel very, very lucky. So this room, actually, the bedroom, was a upstairs drawing room when we bought the house, and we decided to create it as the main bedroom, and then we had to knock through into this was a bedroom which was accessed from the hallway. And one of the things you'll notice throughout the house, other than the nature and the natural textures and the trees, both inside and out, kind of a big feature, is the archways. We designed this as an open archway to sort of bring the theme from downstairs in the kitchen up here. And so this then leads into the main bathroom, where we have a sort of dressing room run as well. We really wanted to keep this space open. We didn't want to kind of cut it in two, which we could have done. And so as a result, the design ended up being a run of wardrobes along the back wall, which actually works really well. There's plenty of space for both Patrick and I to store. And I really wanted to add some texture. So we've got this beautiful Johnston's of Elgin wool. They're very kind of classic English, well, Scottish actually, but brand. And then we've got these lovely bamboo again, which picks up from downstairs. These are Armagh Martin. So it's, just a lovely, classic, elegant space. One of the things we didn't want to do is cut off the room and have it divided in two. So we used the shower as a sort of a pause. That's the back of the shower is the end of the dressing room. And then you come around and you can access both sides from the bathroom. And the shower, I guess, is the first thing to talk to you about in here. I have a love affair with stone and natural stone. And when we were in Italy sourcing for the rest of the house, we came across this slab, and it was love at first sight. On first viewing, it looks very grey and white, but actually it's got some beautiful pinks and corals and kind of slightly lilac-y tones. It's so beautiful. It is a work of art in its own right. And so we created this very large shower just to really let the nature have its moment and for it to be a work of art. And we love it. And then you sort of, from the shower, you look out the window, and the magnolia tree when it's in flower is so beautiful and pink. And equally, when I'm in the bath, I can look back at the marble and I can appreciate the kind of beauty of that. So it works really well, the flow. We designed the space as well to have two vanities, one for me and one for Patrick. Again, the stone, we wanted it to really have its moment. So we brought it really up high around the mirrors. And then we've got lots of storage in the drawers below, which is, again, so important. So we can keep them looking pretty, but there's lots of function in there. And then one of the other reasons that I designed Grove England, other than wanting to create something natural and fine fragrance, is I love rituals. And I think my morning ritual is my shower. And I love starting the day looking outside of the window at nature. In the evening, I think it's so important to, certainly in the winter months, come and have a bath. And I use the bath oil and light the candle. And it just kind of, for me, working from home, it's a real transition between that part of the day and the sort of wind down. And I couldn't be without it. And so this is very much a sanctuary, and I spend a lot of time in here. I love it. So this is Lily's bedroom, and it's just a lovely light space. When we bought the house, this was 2 rooms. This little bit here was a bathroom, and then we decided to take the wall out just to give more space. We didn't anticipate the bunk bed. We thought we could have 2 little single beds here, which we did have for a little while, and then we found this bed and she fell in love. And the room as a whole, I wanted it to feel very kind of fun and childhood, just to create, I guess, a space for her to have lovely childhood memories. The wallpaper is really fun. She chose that herself, and it goes really well with the strawberries on the curtains. And I designed this run of joinery so that she's got storage, but also a little nook for reading in. And artwork throughout the house. There's a lot of Patrick and I love art. And this, I wanted Lily to have at least one piece in here that's something she could keep throughout her life. And this piece is by a friend of ours called Mouse Cazalet. And we lived with Mouse in the lockdown. And I think it's just a lovely, fun, vibrant piece of art that she could keep throughout her life and will always have that memory. And I think that's really important when designing for children, to kind of think of things not just for their age at the time, but for their future as well. So now we're back in the original part of the farmhouse, which you can kind of tell because of the lovely beams. We had them sandblasted to really get back to their kind of really authentic, old, rustic look. And this is the family bathroom. Again, it's a lovely, generous space. I wanted to keep it very light. We worked with Portia. We worked with Portia Bathroom for all of the bathrooms in the house. And we sourced this stunning marble with a blend of taupe and green, which bit of a theme in the hats, and it's gorgeous. And I wanted to add some elements to sort of keep it a bit young and pretty for Lily now. So the curtains with the little polka dots work so well on the Velux windows, and they just add a really kind of soften the space and add a bit of fun. And we designed this vanity bespoke because I just felt like, again, having something that could grow with Lily as she gets older. So obviously now it is just a sink where she brushes her teeth and stuff, but as she grows older, it will become a lovely dressing table space for her as well. So we also managed to create a gorgeous shower in the corner here, working with the shape of the room naturally and keeping the original old beam. And it's the same beautiful marble as the bath, so it all ties in really elegantly together. And yeah, it's such an amazing stone, this. When you stand in the shower, you're just mesmerized by the colors and the textures of the greens with the sort of browns and taupes. So it's, yeah, beautiful room. And the flooring, which kind of ties it all in together as well. It feels, again, a very natural space, but with a bit of a hint of fun and some longevity. Now we've finished with the tour of the house, I'll take you up into the main bit of the garden. So we're just walking up now the main garden we've got a lovely vegetable patch here and raised beds where we grow flowers, vegetables. We've got the chickens. Hi girls. We've got orchard with apples. It's all kind of chaos, and then a little paddock at the top. This rose arch we had designed and built to kind of really differentiate between the spaces. I love it because it's really sculptural, and again it hints to the arches in the house. And we've got lots of roses growing up it, which is amazing, but also some quite crazy cucumbers and different squashes and things. These ones growing are rather mad, as you saw in the house. They're kind of rather crazy, but they get really, they're taking over, which is, I think, really fun. So this is the orchard part of the garden. We inherited, I think, about 6 or 7 different apple trees, really lovely old established ones. And this one, very sadly, the first summer it fell, we were kind of really sad. We came back from holiday and it had fallen, I think just a combination of too much fruit and its age. But amazingly, it's still alive. And for the last 3 years, it's been really happy, fruited lots. It's delicious. It's easy to pick, which is amazing because you can obviously reach them. And also Lily has a den often in here. It's the perfect little place to make a den. And then there's other trees. This one here is another gorgeous one, and they all have slightly different timings, which is great. So they come out at different times. And we've got this amazing seating area here where it's lovely just to sit under the trees and watch the world go by, watch the chickens pottering. It's just a really calm space. And in the evenings, the light is absolutely amazing. It comes from there, the sun, so beautiful. So we have lots of raised beds, some of which are vegetables, and then we've got the dahlias. I've got 2 beds with dahlias, and this time of year they're just amazing. They're so colourful and vibrant, and brilliant for cutting and bringing in the house. And then most of this you can see is sort of vegetables and fruit and different things. We've got a rhubarb patch there. And then coming over this side, this is my sort of crazy squash bed where we've got courgettes. And then I do love it to go a bit mad. It's such a lovely, I don't know, I love the view back to the house with these crazy plants taking over. And these are my anemones, which the inspiration for the first fragrance from Grove, England. And I decided to just do a whole bed of them together, which I hadn't seen before. And I love it. The impact is so lovely, especially in the sunset when you kind of look back at them. They're so magical. They sort of dance on the wind. So yeah, this is our veg patch. And we've got lots of potatoes soon. Lots of potatoes, which are delicious. Thank you so much, Luxury Home Show, for coming on a tour around our home in the Cotswolds. I hope you've really enjoyed it. For more information about me or Grove, England, please check out the info in the box below. And that's it from me for now. Bye.
Hello Luxury Home Show, my name's Kathy Hurst. I'm an interiors journalist and this is my home in the Cotswolds. Come and take a look.